Hey everyone, welcome back. I got a random burst of motivation and decided to make a tailgate and custom wing setup for my Stagea. So I can go back a few days and show you how I made that. Hard to see on camera, but the tailgate is pretty mangled. It's really pushed in. And this is severely twisted, as you can see. Wow, taking that garnish off, you can really see how pushed in the tailgate is. This will be fun. So what I'm thinking of doing is remaking this lower, get rid of this infill that's like an overlap thing, and it's always prone to rusting out. It's busted completely off in this case, and then getting rid of that trim piece just to hide the handle. I feel like there's no point having that there anymore. I might as well just sink the handle in, make that nice and flush, and then just continue this the whole way along, same as the bottom. Then the plate's nice and recessed in, same level as the tail lights. I think that'll look much neater for the rear of the car. Well, considering these are all scuffed up and pushed in, I think I'm going to piss that area off. Just get rid of this whole piece, get rid of these, make the tail lights end here, get rid of this keyhole, and then the latch system, all it is just a little flipper handle that pushes this rod down. So there's no reason I can't make a nice flush mounted one that's under there. So yeah, make this less ugly in the rear. And if I don't like it, I can just bolt a standard tailgate straight back on, so there's no harm done. So I took a template of this radius here and got it roughed out on the piece of steel here. So sitting this on, you can see that it needs to be shrunk in the middle to wrap around. So obviously they're not the right radius yet, so I need to shrink this edge and it will let it pull around to the correct radius. So I'm just going to take a template of the tailgate from here to here, take it over to the kick shrinker, and then I can just do it over there instead of walking back and forward 100 times. Okay, so I've got the top one with 2 clicos in it. I gave it the arc it needed. I made the bottom piece, same deal. It's got the arc that it needs. Meet these two. So I'll start building the center section in a second. Okay, so top and bottom clicoed on, and now I'm going to get rid of the tail light length. So yeah, get rid of this. I can bye bye. Okay, so tail lights chopped down, got rid of the number plate lights out of the sides and the key lock. I'm just going to figure out if I want to have it as a hard edge across here or let it taper right into the number plate. I'm a bit undecided at the moment, so I'm going to do both and see what I like. So I've made up the taillight infill pieces, so they'll go in there. They just need to be shrunk on either edge to give it the arc that it needs. Okay, so that's the sides tucked in place, and I'm just going to trim the center section out to recess in for the plate. Okay, so this taillight infill is tucked in place. Now I've just got to make a number plate recess, which will hold that. Okay, so plate recess is tacked in place now. I'm going to pull it off and TIG it from the other side. So that's with the plate just clicoed on, so you get an idea. And I'm either going to run just the number plate LED lights or put some lights back in the side, not sure yet. So I've never really been happy with the spoiler. I made it about 7 years ago for the first one, and it's just a plastic welded standard spoiler with a R33 spoiler and brake light as the backside. But yeah, I'm not really happy with how it fits on the car. I'm going to make another spoiler now out of steel and actually have it flush and make it part of the actual hatch instead of it sitting on top. I don't like that it's got that the jump up. I kind of want it to be flush the whole way. and then I'll probably run these body lines that are in the roof into the spoiler and link it back around so it looks more factory, like it's meant to be there. Possibly even curve it down and blend it into this a bit more, but yeah, it's time to recreate that, because I've got brake fluid that's dripped, not here, but I've had brake fluid drip onto my roof, and it's lifted the paint in a section. So now the whole roof's got to be painted, so if we're going to paint the roof, may as well paint the hatch, and got to repair this bit anyway where it got all caved in. So yeah, it's starting to spiral out of control a little bit. Bonnet's got to get repainted because of the damage from the car cover blowing off, so it's close to being fully painted again, but here we go. So I think it was doing something similar to this. It blends in the whole way, keeps it on this plane, and yeah, I'll leave it this long, and I'll leave some meat here so I can shrink it around and get the right thickness. So I'll probably reuse this brake light. I've somehow lost the plastics around for it over the years, but I'm thinking of probably tying the handle into this anyway, but I've never been able to make this strong enough to open the hatch or do anything with, so it always flops about and gets stress cracks. So I think tying this in here and actually making it welded to the hatch itself, which should be strong as hell, and I should be able to open the hatch by putting the handle here instead. Maybe like a reverse camera and stuff as well in there hidden. So it's got the two outside edges clecoed on, got a measurement from 400 where the very back of the car ends up, so I'll tip that around and blend it all in, both sides the same obviously. I've just marked this line here where the window and this trim end up, so I'm going to use those reference points. And yeah, with the center lines on the roof, not sure yet. I'm either going to run them right to the edge and put a little kick up, blend them off, or loop them around. I'll see what looks better. I'll make the centerpiece and then I'll draw that on and see what actually looks best. So I've got it roughly just drawn out, just to give myself an idea of what it should look like. I'm going to go ahead and start turning this flange over. I want it to be pretty thick, like maybe 35-40 mil border along the whole thing, so I can incorporate the brake light into it. So I'm going to tip the outers now, maybe the center actually, might do the center first, and then I'll see just how I want these to curve around. I'm trying to match the rear of the car as much as possible, so it might even be a more sharp turn instead of a radius. So corner pieces are starting to take shape. Use the thumbnails to really wrap it around, so B-rolled the roundness into it, then to get the curve to come around, obviously use the thumbnails there, and then the kick shrinker right here where there wasn't enough meat for the thumbnails to grab. So comparison is how it looks there. So now it'll allow me to join these two pieces together once I do the other side to this point, and then really start tweaking it. Like I want to pull it back obviously a little bit more on this edge here. So starting to take shape though. I really will blend that in nicely. So that's the ends roughed out and just tacked to the centerpiece. I'm going to start making this piece that goes around the window. Do that in like a little 40mm section, and that way I can do this return here under, and then I'll do a join along there. That way I'll keep it in like 3 pieces. This will be welded along here, but if I try and do this in one piece, it might just make it a bit too much of a nightmare, so I'll go 3-piece. So I've started the underside piece. It's going to link around. I only got 1200 width, so the corners are a bit short, so I'll make these corner pieces last. I'm going to go around and scrub the outside of this to get the width, so I can start turning the flange the opposite way. Okay, so I've started shaping the inner sheet so it rolls off into the window opening. So I'm just going to do the ends now and tidy up this edge here. It's just roughed in just so they join together. But okay, so the driver side pieces are roughed out. Got the outer, the inner made, and just tacked a little stitch there. Now I've just got to slit all the pieces and TIG them together, and then really sharpen all the lines and finalize the shape how I want it. But I'll get the other side to the same point first, and then work about incorporating the brake light and probably the tailgate handle up in there as well. So I'm going to do all the linear stretching of these two pieces now, which are the end caps. So that's those areas stretched. Now I've got to shrink this edge with the kick shrinker. And what the linear stretching is going to do is curve this around, because this is the spoiler area that curves around. So this is where the pillar is on the car. So all this has to be stretched to really let this piece curve. This piece will become this piece on the opposite side, and as you can see, it's nowhere near fitting. So what we need to do is get this piece to curve by linear stretching this edge. Okay, so a few laps, it's starting to pull itself round. It's getting closer, but still way off. So go some more. So passenger side's roughed out the same. It's all matching now. Just got to go around and trim edges and start TIGging it all together, and figuring out, I'm going to add the brake light to it. So yeah, cut out a little recess and mimic the brake light being able to bolt in. So just making a perimeter that I can cut and weld into it, and then I'll figure out a mounting system. Factory it is something like this, but I've never actually had the plastic cover that goes on the underside, but it shouldn't be too hard to recreate something on there. So I should be able to do something like that that lets it hug around the perimeter, and then it's got a little pocket for it to bolt into, so I'll add 4 studs inside that, and then that should let me bolt a cover plate over that if I weld that in. Alright, so that's the mounting base for it. I'm going to try and weld that in. So I made the bracket for the light to bolt into, and I'm going to cut the bucket area out now. Okay, so I pushed it inside there and just making sure it all fits before I pull it out, prime it all, and just bugs that sucker in. So I'm just going to pull the glass out of it now, so I can start getting some tacks on the inner face in there. And I might do something cool with the glass, undecided yet, but yeah, I'm thinking about putting hinges on the glass so the glass can lift out. Alrighty, so the glass is out, so I can TIG right in this edge, which is all flush with the glass. So yeah, I'm going to TIG this spoiler right in the edge here. And I don't run a window rubber on my glass, I've just got it glued in, and that's it. I like the look of it without the rubber surrounding it. So I took it off the car, put it on the bench now, just so I can do this little pocket area that's going to conceal the bottom side of the brake light. So just using the bead roller, I've put the initial curve in it, and now I'm just using the bead roller to tip the next flange over for the cover. So I folded both of the flanges over, and it's arced both ways. Just welded little 5mm plates in the end so that I can drill and countersink the nuts into it, and the back side I'm going to have it slip under. So I'm going to bead roll a perimeter piece to TIG in, and just going to weld in some little 5mm plates in here that I can drill and tap, and that way you should just be able to go slip 2 bolts, and then you've got access to the brake light. Okay, so that's the piece that'll slip it under now. So I've got the light piece pretty much mocked up and bolted in now. It's got like a tiny little bit of infilling I'm playing with down the bottoms, TIG across the front, and do these joins now on the side pieces, and then I'll move forward to the tops. Okay, so the bottom joins are done. Just got to do the top ones now, so this one and this one. So there's a little comparison of size between the old and the new spoiler. Same length, but just a little bit more shape to it. Okay, so fully welded and sanded, because I don't trust just tacking and slap and bog over the top. So now just welding around the corners. Gonna do inside this little crater. Okay, so all welded, whizzed, and scotched it over. So I'm ready to deoxy it and then hit it with some epoxy primer just to seal all the top. Gave it a coat of epoxy, so now it's ready for some bodywork. Pouring rain, so I can't really film much with talking, you can't really hear it, but TIG this section in now, so it's going to buzz the TIG weld off, give it a plenish, and get that in epoxy as well. So yeah, I've capped off the inside of the taillight piece, so no water can get into the tailgate. Get taillights in. So there's all the mud work done, just gave it a skim over the entire lot, just because it's just easier to get it all nice. Pain in the ass, but yeah, it's what you do. Okay, so now that I have it inside, I can see a few issues. Little pinholes that I missed on the top there. A little edge here I didn't sand properly. I must have missed that bit. And yeah, on this bottom there is a faint line across there. Just needs to be blocked a bit better. Just a little bit wobbly through there. But at least I can see what's going on now. Everywhere else is good. The underside come up nice. So I'm going to sit the glass in, put all the taillights and stuff in and see how it looks. See if these edges need playing with while the taillights go back in. So pretty spewing. I dropped the light and I cracked it. So now I'm on the lookout for one of these. If anyone has a R32 sedan wing or taillight, I would like to buy it, please. I dropped the countersunk bolts somewhere, so I'm just going to use these button head ones for now. So the taillights could just become replaceable because I know I'm going to break them or something one day. I just wanted to keep them pretty simple, so I docked the end off, which lost the mounting tab, but it is still all sealed there, factory. Just made a little adapter bracket, which then just bolts on to another hole that I've drilled inside there, so at least that'll all be replaceable in the future. If I break a taillight, I can just take this bracket with me and bolt it onto any lights and be sweet. Alrighty, so taillights back in, the rear lights in, a few little grubby fingerprints from me being too impatient to wait for it to dry. But at least it lets me see what it looks like now, so pretty happy with it. So when I was opening it to put the gas struts on, I went past open and yeah, it can touch, so gotta be mindful of those things. So yeah, just back on the car, number plate lights are in the bolts for the plate. Just looking at how bad these cars actually fit up, like Look at the monstrosity of a taillight gap. Factory. Crazy. Might end up welding that up. We'll see. That side's pretty much the same. Pretty gross. And as for the back line on the roof, I'm going to blend it out of the roof itself to match the front. The front blends out into nothing. So that's what I'll do the same. Nice bit of oil. So my rear window's chipped, so I'm picking up a new one tomorrow, and my handle release is just going to be a flush button in here just to replace the wiper, and that'll release the tailgate. Just pop that, easy as. So now that it's back on the car, I can block it again, sharpen up all the lines, get it looking how I want it to look, not open it so far as to bash into the car itself. It's dumb. But yeah, the bar's got to get painted again anyway. It's chipping off the chrome areas. Most of the front stuff's going to get painted again. So I have the interior pulled out of the car because a rat actually died in the car and it stinks so bad. So I've ripped all the interior out trying to find the carcass. Yeah, I was standing here one day and I looked inside the car and I could see it looking at me and laughing, sitting on the headrest, and I was just like, you little bastard. And yeah, no good. Stinks so bad. Now with the spoiler in primer ready to block down, and I'm probably going to address the big dent that's here from the car cover flying off. I'll sort that one out, and there's some damage on the front bar. I ripped the front bar off when I reversed it down here, so chunked the corner of the front bar off. Hopefully I can plastic weld it back on. Pretty annoying, but what do you do? So yeah, if the front's going to get painted again, I might even play with the gaps on these. They've moved around a little bit here, so I might even try and gap the front up a little bit nicer for my current standards, and block all the lines and shit in, get it fitting much nicer. Another one-day job that I never did was infill the back of the bonnet in for the wiper and cowl area. I cut it all out but never actually infilled it in, so now if I'm going to paint the bonnet again, I'm going to sheet all that in nicely so that I can actually put two wipers back on here and not look like an idiot. So I greatly underestimated the time it would take to make all this. So there was 5 days in metalwork doing all the pockets and all the tail light sections and stuff like that, and 2 days in bodywork to get it primed to this stage. So yeah, absolute nightmare. I never thought it was going to take that long, but yeah, these things do, unfortunately. For the push button, I was going to do a similar button to this, just like a little nice flush mounted one of a quick release, and have an electric popper. But now I've looked at where the rod is, and I'm just going to be retrofitting an old push button to push the rod down, and just have like a little flush mounted pocket on the glass, and you just reach in and pop it instead. Just seems easier. Okay, so I've bolted on the back side of the wiper mount, just so I got something to base off, and I've got my little piece drilled and tapped into a bit of 6mm plate, and that's going to sit somewhere in there, so I'll be able to weld it to this bracket there. That way it's all removable. And yeah, a little button is in there, which is going to push this rod down, which is in there. So yeah, with that piece sitting there, I've got a little air gap to the window, so I'm going to make up a little plate that'll glue to the window in the same shape. That way it's all sealed up and no water can get actually in from this area. Alternatively, I could glue that directly to the window, but to me that just makes it a nightmare. I'd rather have a little plate there, that way you can replace the window in the future. You just cut the glue as per normal, and this all stays on the tailgate, and it will look like this on this side. So you can just put your finger in, push the rod down, pull back. So yeah, that's the original wiper bracket, and then I've got my little push button set up. Now the reason of not getting rid of this lever and just going directly to the rod itself is because that's the power lock. So it had one rod going to the key barrel and one lock going to the power lock setup, so we have to keep that in order for the tailgate to still lock with the key, with the remote. Otherwise, yeah, your tailgate can literally just be opened at any time by anyone, unless you dick around and add another central locking lock to that, but there's no need. I've got one here factory, so just leave it on there. So I'll glue this piece to the glass and then join the other pieces to that. So I just made a rod that just joins onto this little lever here, and the rod runs inside. So now just pull it apart, tidy up the holes that I've cut, and should be happy days. Cool, so that works. Hey everyone, welcome back. Instead of relaxing on my Christmas holidays, I've decided to be an idiot and make a tailgate. Just got tape on the glass because I'm paranoid about it falling out when I'm opening and shutting the hatch. But that's all made now, so I can just pull it all off and give it a paint. And then that way all the factory plastics and stuff still go on as per normal. They clip on using these points and it'll match all the factory shape and stuff, so it doesn't look out of place. So I think the next thing I'll add here is just like a little cover that's spring loaded, and that way you can push in, and once you let go it comes back flush, so it doesn't look like there's even a hole there. So I'm going to wrap things up here. Thanks again for watching. Hope you guys had a good Christmas and have a good New Year's. Take some time off and look after yourself. Don't be an idiot like me and work on junk like this.